All right. Hello, folks. I am Courtney Robertson at GoDaddy Pro, and joining with me is Gina Innocent. How are you today, Gina?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Hello. So, getting busy, looking ahead to the WordPress 6.1 release, and there's a lot of good features that are happening in this release. Today's the first day I've had to actually test some of them instead of just reading about them. Today's the first day that I will also get to jump in and test. And so I'll be doing this one a little bit blind myself because I've been working on things for learn.wordpress.org. And so that's a lot going on. So I need to get some hands-on time with some of the new feature shipping in this release. WordPress 6.1 is due to release on November 1st. Every time there is a release of that level, like 6.1, that means we've got some new features in that one. And not just fixing things, but some pretty big features coming. So this will be a good time to check into that. You can test along with us today. I will grab a link. Here we go. I've dropped the link into the chat, and we'll make sure that we append that also for the replay folks. But it is at make.wordpress.org/test. And the post that's in there is the call for testing 17. So we've had quite a few of these calls for testing. And I will share my screen to kind of give folks an idea of what we're working on today. We are going through, let's see, Gina, are you seeing that at like a full screen size? Is that showing?
Yeah, full screen.
Okay, you do?
Yeah.
Okay, cool, thanks. So on my end, it's looking a little interesting for me as a presenter. So what we're going to be going through on the testing is FSC program call for testing 17, guiding the Gutenberg gallery. So this is a post that Anne has written. Anne has written a lot of these calls for testing, although not all of them. Does a fantastic job and describes some of the changes that are coming out. In all of these directions, it gives us some context. We'll be working on theme switching and what happens when we go to make a navigation block. I know Gina and I have tested out the navigation block and had some interesting success rates with that inside of FSE. Switching themes and creating some content, some fallback content also for templates, along with some header and footer patterns. This is new inside of WordPress 6.1. So we'll see what the header and footer patterns look like. The category templates that I mentioned, having some default content on those, using this zoom out mode, we're going to test that. That's a feature I'm not sure is actually going to make it into 6.1, unfortunately, but it definitely is good for us to do the testing on that. We'll see how that works. And lots of different design tools. So at this spot that talks about testing instructions, this is where we get to kick in on having a site that's already set up and created for us. This says about InstaWP. And InstaWP is a service that offers the WordPress community a way to test some of these features. So we will be going through this particular link, and I will copy and paste it for those that are testing along live with us, which I so appreciate if you are. Here we go. There is the link. And this link, when you click on it, you only need to click it one time. This link will give us the ability to have an already live site. So I'm going to do that, and we'll start walking through the directions together. I would like attendees to walk through this as well with us. And when we're done, we'll leave comments and feedback on the post below. And I'll also give Anne a link to this recording as well. So if everyone could click on that app.instawp link. And here's what we get. Takes just a moment, and it says that it's making a new site just for us, and that site will work for 24 hours. So you'll see here's the address above. So if you want to keep testing on this after our time together today has concluded, you can continue using the link that the system gives you. What it gives you is going to be different than what it gives me. So other people coming along to see this replay, that address will be unique to the after you have selected the link. And again, it will delete in 24 hours and be done. So first thing, it's like, don't repeatedly click the link. We know this because it can only hold so many sites. It's 24 hours long. Save the link, to your site so you can access it again during the test. I hope to complete the test within less than 1 hour altogether. So I think I'll be all right there. And what we see in this is we've got a test site that's already ready to go for us. And at some points, Gina, I'm going to probably toss to you and see what you're experiencing, but I think we're good so far as long as you've got a site ready too. To set up the test site using the latest version of WordPress, we have that already provided. Step 2 says install and activate the 2022 theme by going to Appearance and then Themes. So let's do that part together. Appearance, Themes, and turn on 2022. I will activate that one. And then install and activate the latest version of Gutenberg. So we need the Gutenberg plugin also. Oh, to set up your own test site. We have to set up your own test site. Let's double check if Anne has turned on the Gutenberg plugin as well. Probably on the InstaWP, but it's worth a check. So we'll go to installed plugins. And Gutenberg is installed and active. Notice that the version of Gutenberg plugin that we're seeing is Gutenberg 14.2. A quick refresh is that the Gutenberg plugin is going to ship some features in advance. Tristan, nice to see you joining with us. You can jump in. I think you should probably be able to see those links in the chat area as well, the directions that we're following for today. And we've launched one site so far. Glad to have you test along with us. So the version of Gutenberg plugin that Anne has installed on this instance says Gutenberg 14.2. Gutenberg 13.1 through 14.1, I believe, is what's shipping with WordPress 6.1. Every 2 weeks, approximately, the Gutenberg plugin has a release. If you're running that plugin, you get those features that are already out. They're considered mostly stable. Again, I might not suggest running it on your main live site, although maybe you would, because I do, but I don't recommend others do. I'll just say it that way. Features that you test in the Gutenberg plugin are not yet in core. By that, I mean, eventually, we have a big release, and WordPress 6.1 says, give us everything that was in Gutenberg plugin from 13.1 to 14.2 or 14.1, I think. So some of the features that you might see in the Gutenberg plugin, you're certainly not going to see in the version of WordPress that we're running 6.0.2, and some of them may or may not ship in 6.1, but it's still important that we do the testing. So we've got the Gutenberg plugin installed, double checked that. Go to Tools, Import, and import a file if you are setting up your own site. We have a site, it is set up. We don't need to do the import there, I don't believe. Head to Tools, import this file. It doesn't say what that file is to access the same posts as above. Get familiar. Head to Appearance Customizer and change any settings you'd like. For the front, get familiar with the current site. View your site, click around, switch to a block theme. Okay, so this was nudging us if we had not yet switched over to 2022, which we just did. It says if you're building your own and not using InstaWP, go check out Customizer. We're going to move on to switch to the block theme. It says go to Appearance Themes, activate 2022. Notice that you can't live preview this theme. So these other ones, I could use this live preview, but for 2022, if I didn't have it active, I wouldn't get a live preview. That's because live preview triggers Customizer, and you're not going to get the Customizer with the 2022 theme unless you're using a plugin that calls for it. After activating, view the front end of your site to get a sense of the changes. From there, go to Appearance and Editor. So to view the front of site, I'm going to, my little shortcut is to go to the top left where it says Visit Site. I'm holding down the Command key on Mac. If you're on Windows, it would be the, I think the, not the Control, probably the Windows key, and launching the front of site. So this is what my site looks like so far. Haven't tested anything yet, and that's okay. Going to do a quick skim through. Hello, Estella. Glad to see you with us. So we're running through a call for testing, Estella, and we're running through a call for testing 17. Estella, I know from, I believe, the Docs team. Glad to see you along. And the link for the InstaWP site's above. So we're really just at the beginning and getting started. So work alongside of us, and we'll send all of this feedback over to comments for Anne. We have activated the theme. We've looked at the front of site. Now switch to the block theme. We did that step, appearance editor. Use styles and zoomed out view to design your site. Zoomed out view is a new feature, and I'm pretty sure I saw that this one, don't hold me to it, but I think this one's going to be a 6.1 feature. If someone that is a regular contributor wants to go look in GitHub Gutenberg issues and find confirmation, that'd be fine. In the top toolbar, so we are to go to appearance, editor. Yep. Here's the editor, and we're launching into FSE, full site editing. And here we go. So from this point on, I've read the directions. I have not done the work ahead for everybody tuning in alongside of us. So I'm testing just as blindly as maybe the rest of us. So it says to use the zoom out option and our zoomed out view. Select the zoomed out view option furthest on the right. This will place you in a zoomed out mode where you can focus more on building and creating the patterns than individual blocks. While in the mode, explore various sections of your site and reorganize as you would like. Okay, so the furthest right button, I believe what it's meaning is this, the zoomed out view, not the kebab menu on the very far right. So this is the zoomed out view right there. Gina, if I hadn't pointed it out, would you know that that's what that button was from just the style of it? No? Go ahead, unmute. It's fine. If puppy barks, we don't mind.
No. No, I would have not at all.
Okay.
It looks like a scroll, like something to help you jump to different sections of the page.
Yeah. That's the same thing that I was kind of thinking, is that the icons they're using for up and down, if we click on it, I get why it's doing that, right? Because it's saying like, I can move this. What I can do is now move these template parts to different locations. I can click on this and move it down or move it back up. So I get why they selected that icon as the start, but when I think about what I would like to see, I think about this area that if I'm on the front of site, just as an example, if I'm on the front of site for a WordPress powered website and I'm logged in, I see the dashboard icon, as in send me to the dashboard. And then when I'm in the dashboard, if I want to go to the homepage, I see the house icon that's there, right? So maybe what I want to see instead when I'm in the editor, instead of the up and down carrots, is like a magnifier icon that would prompt me to zoom in. And then something that would be like a smaller version while I'm in it to say zoom out. I don't know if that would, or a magnifier and telescope, like zoom in, use the magnifier, zoom out, maybe a telescope icon. I don't know. Something that's sort of a little bit more play on the visual side as opposed to the directionals that are there. So I can move some stuff around in here, which is interesting. That's listed as a group. So if I am in zoom out mode, I don't get to expand all the options in zoom out mode when I see the group. I just get the whole group. So I can move some things a little bit. But if I go out of zoom out mode and then get inside the list view, I now have that toggle to drop down. That's interesting. So if I'm in zoom out mode and list view is on in zoom out mode, I don't get the collapsible areas. So if I wanted to move something around inside of the group, let's say that I wanted to move this like navy blue background up. Or Tristan says, I agree with that. The arrows are change order in this interface. Yeah. So if I wanted to move this navy blue area up, but I'm in zoom out mode, I can't do that. So I even using list view, because list view is collapsed using zoom in, zoom out. So I will pop myself out of list view, out of zoom out view, turn on list view. And now I have those collapsible areas. So I could move some things around, like there's a spacer here, and I could say, I want to relocate that spacer. Yeah, it's interesting. So in zoom out, I don't get my drop down carrots. That's unique. So what I'm actually going to do is before I go forward further, I'm actually going to, here's another little secret trick that I have. I'm going to start a post and I will copy and paste the notes from this post in my disposable site later to Anne's comments, because what I can do in this is copy it with all the formatting. So at this step where it told me we want feedback, right? This is how WordPress, here's the requests. We start writing some feedback. So when I select in step 11, that's step 11, and explore 11 and 12. So I might leave those two together. I'll just say 11-12. Cheating a bit, as I saw Powell also went in and kind of grouped up his feedback as well for some things. Zoom in, out. Can we use a microscope and telescope icon versus the directional arrows, similar to toggling home and dashboard icons. That's my thought there. That way people understand which way we're going with some of those. All right, next step. Use the quick insert while in this mode. Explore. Boop, 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 boop. In the top right toolbar, select the zoomed out. This will place you in a zoomed out mode where you can focus more on building and creating patterns. While in the mode, explore various sections and feel free to reorganize. So this is the part where I was saying that in step 12, in zoomed out view plus list view, I can't access drop downs in the list view area to reorganize. Organize within template parts. Once done, zoomed out still on, go to the style sidebar. Okay, so let's turn zoomed out mode back on. And our styles are in the top right corner. As a refresh, hey, wow. As a refresh, the styles area, it's called styles. It was sort of nicknamed global styles at the launch. This styles icon, whatever changes we make here apply to our whole site. This is where we set the color palette, where we set a lot of things. You can programmatically do that using the theme.json file. You could also do that just by clicking this styles area. So if I go into the browse styles was the next direction, you see that we've got a style picker listed here. So I could easily toggle my site to some of the other colors that are there. Once and to switch between, feel free to toggle on and off the zoomed out for the rest of the test as you'd like. Feel free to customize the style options further on a more granular basis, or just stick with one of the built-in style variations. So these are the style variations that I'm toggling through. There is the default, and I'm looking kind of at what the hover state does, right? So for this one, when I hover over this, I'm actually having a hard time on the color scheme. There's like a light cream that's going on in there, and it doesn't preview well. Or I could go with dark mode. I'll see what dark mode does. Go with the Swiss variation. But if you wanted to get more specific, you could go into things like typography, colors, layout, and change these areas more specifically, more individually. Gina, did you find a style variation that you like?
I'm clicking through them.
Cool. Attendees. All right, let's get Evan if Evan is available. Hey, Evan. Glad you could join us. So as Evan's coming in, quick intro again for some folks. Evan is one of our GoDaddy staff. I will let Evan very briefly, when available, share a little bit of the background that Evan works on. Gina joined the team that I am on at GoDaddy recently. GoDaddy Pro officially joined us recently, has been with us for about half a year now, I think. Gina comes from a background in WordPress support, and this whole FSE area is sort of new turf. Gina's experimented a little bit with it, but very new. Meanwhile, Evan comes from working, I believe, please correct me if I'm wrong, but working on CoBlock's Go areas of what
That's
we're
correct.
doing. Thanks.
Yes.
So we're going through the steps and the directions, and we've got a little link going in the chat area here for InstaWP. And we're up to step 15, basically, which is launch setup 2022 and pick a style variation and explore the zoom in, zoom out mode. So I was writing some notes along in just a post here, and we'll apply them to a comment at the tail end. If you have any weird experiences, we were talking about zoom in, zoom out mode and thinking that the icons that are represented are a little bit unusual. That it's not very descriptive that what zoom in, zoom out does in that case. It's just a toggle order for the template parts, but it doesn't actually show us the collapsed areas when we turn on list view with that. So that was interesting. We're in customized navigation. Last I visited block navigation, setting up the nav bar. Gina didn't have a good time. We'll say that. So let's take a look again, Gina, and see where we are. Tristan, other than the thought on the zoom button, you could start editing the header or the footer to zoom in again and might not know you are getting to editing global template and not the page you're on. Yeah, so let's take a look real quick at what Tristan just said. If I were to be in this area, it sounds like, other than thought on zoom button, you could start editing the header and the footer to zoom in again. Zoom in then. Okay, so you're saying if I go in and I start into this area and I could start typing things and you might not realize that it's global. Is that what you're thinking, Tristan? Checking in the comments there. Yep. Yeah, that's true. So when you change something in this view, it is applying it to everywhere that you've defined this header to appear. And by default, right now our site thinks that exact header goes everywhere. So look in the top nav page header area. Top nav page header area. Yep. So this is, you could also in here edit the header individually, but if you start editing it right on the homepage, then it's going to apply it to everything as well. So yep, that is tricky, being aware of when we're inside of global header or not. Yeah, if that's what you want, that is easy. But if it's not what you want, maybe you want some nag notices. I know I don't like a whole lot of nag notices in WordPress, but that might be a time that you want it. Ensure you've exited out of the zoomed out mode and select the nav block either by using list view or clicking on it directly. Let's try clicking on it and seeing how easy it is. Okay, so right now it says cannot retrieve pages. So a page list. I have a wild guess that that's a navigation menu, but I can't see that unless I go turn on list view. And if I do click on it, it says select navigation. So I will turn on my list view. That's kind of tricky. So the default option, when I selected the default option, it took me to page list. And what I wanted, I believe it says, is select navigation. So we'll see if we've made some improvements on the nav block. Yeah, selected, click on edit in the block toolbar and follow the steps to convert the links in a pop-up. Now, I deliberately picked the dark theme because in the past I had noticed that links in the default theme were not working in dark mode. So I picked a style variation that was dark deliberately just to test. So I have list view open. This is a list view that's for a smaller area. Maybe I do actually mean to go to this one and hit edit. Right. So in this case, I'm on the page list option and not technically the navigation. This is just a default experience when you first come in. But the navigation block is one of those things that beginners are going to have to struggle through. So we'll just hit edit here, and it says convert to links. We'll convert it to links. And now I see a proper navigation. Gina, what's your thoughts on, would that experience make sense for you?
It's not knowing, going into this and playing around, I wouldn't have caught that.
Yeah. I will try and not feed answers too much, but I still think that convert to links thing is a tripping point for a lot of people.
Yeah, like it without detailed instructions, I wouldn't have caught on to that.
Yep. Add 2 submenu items under blog for both submissions and exhibits to match the original site. Note intentionally not sharing the various ways to do this. Okay. So we want 2 child items here. Can I actually ask at this point, Gina, would you share your version of that? I want to see Gina's way of doing it.
1 second.
So we're trying to add a child item under blog. Whether it goes to the link that Anne is requesting or not, it's more important that we check and see that we add child items under blog. So there is a site this exercise is modeled off of. And Gina, when you're available to grab the share screen.
What instructions am I looking to do? Number?
We are looking at number 18. I'm trying to very kindly ask Gina, and please give some grace to Gina in the process. I'm asking Gina because I've done this test and I filed the tickets. So I want to excuse myself from this particular test because I know for just this step, I know that I have worked on some of these a little bit and don't want to get too particular with it.
Well, how about you guide me, because I'm a little lost. So I'm going to
share. Could you share your screen? Yeah, let's do that. And that's okay.
And we're going to go here.
I will also say that I'm lost as well. I'm not sure how to do that.
Yep, that's okay. Thank you, Evan. All right. Gina, I see your screen. Okay, so Gina, let's see where we are. Could you jump back, hit the W icon for me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you should be under appearance and themes. Switch it to 2022, please.
Got it.
Yep.
I think that was the problem.
All right. So I see that you've got a navigation menu. So let's select the dashboard icon in the top left area where it says to the right one. Yes, dashboard. And then go to appearance, editor. And actually from here, we could select that navigation. Yeah, go ahead, select your navigation area on the right-hand side. Let's see what it gets when you select that, the about blog contact. Yep. Okay. So that's in the header and it doesn't, there's the edit icon. So go ahead, select edit. And Gina's is looking a little different than mine because in Gina's, she did not pick up dark variation like mine, which is fine. Gina, that's the convert to links. And I think you just selected it. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So next where it says the word blog, we want to get 2 drop-down menus underneath that. What's your experience like now where we go to create drop-down menus?
I'm assuming we would do it here.
Good guess. Let's click on the word blog and see what happens. So we want them under blog. So the one set that I would say, okay, that's interesting. So Gina's looking in that location for it. There are a couple ways to do this, and Anne asked to be impartial as well. Let's see what Tristan's saying in the chat. Tristan's like, that's where I look too. This is hard to figure it out. Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, so Gina, what I'm actually going to ask you to do is turn on your list view. Go left beside where the zoom in, zoom out button is. Yeah, your stacked icon, and it says navigation. On the left side, can you expand that drop down some more?
On the left side, expand this.
Yes. Okay. Can we get to anything from here? Interesting. Do you see what the toolbar did that's different? Click on the list view on the left-hand side. It says navigation. And then if we go down to, if you select the word blog individually, watch what the toolbar does differently. It adds some different icons.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's because this is a block nested inside of another block.
Okay.
So to add a drop-down menu, do you have any ideas how you would add a drop-down menu with your options on the screen now? That is a drop-down, but what we want is if somebody puts their mouse over the word blog, for it to show additional menu items underneath that word blog.
Would we add? No. Submenu.
There you go. So wait, what's that one say?
Transform to a submenu. So
which means that blog would become the submenu.
Yeah.
So we're close to it, and I don't want to. I think we've seen a little bit of what the experience is like for someone that hasn't played with this yet.
Add submenu.
There you go. Okay, so when you do that, what's your current? You've selected it once. Now what do you see as far as how do you add a word behind that? Like we'll put the link in a bit, but you've added the sub menu and it did something.
It opened up a little drop box or a box to the right that I could just hit a plus sign on.
And now it says add a link. And you just for the sake of it going, go ahead, select that. That's fine. So we allowed it to pick it, but at first it was to me, that was a little unintuitive. Like it made the box, but it didn't have something pre-filled in it. And it wanted me to pre-fill in it, but there was another toolbar over top of it that I couldn't. Yeah. So I will make note of that as well. So if you wanted to add a second thing, another one, what do you think you would do?
The plus sign again.
Yeah, that one works. In the past, I tried to hit the thing on the toolbar and I ended up with like a child of a child. And that was getting a little weird. Okay, so let's click on the word blog again. Show me what the toolbar does when you select the word blog. Okay, so if we wanted to now fix or edit one of those child menus.
Okay.
Click on the word blog. All right, now let's say you wanted to get to one of those things that was just behind your toolbar.
Yeah.
You could do it from the list view on the left side.
Okay.
But that toolbar is sitting in the way.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It is. It blocks what you're trying to see.
Yep.
But you can see it here.
Yep. Those testing along, are you having any better of an experience with the nav menu so far? We are running the Gutenberg plugin as well, by the way, on InstaWP. It's already in there. It's up to 14.2 for the Gutenberg plugin. All right. So, yep. That works. We could get to the things. I don't think we want to add or remove them, but we could get to some things. So we've at least made a sub nav menu item. So that's okay.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Open the block settings for the navigation block and under display, click on the visual below to open up more options for the mobile icon menu. So open the block settings for the navigation block. So Gina, could you on the list view, select navigation on the left-hand side? Okay. And what we want is the block settings area. So, let me do this one also. Well done. I think it works and tidy versus before, but it feels, there is some improvement that's happening there from what I'm seeing as well. It still is, there's some work to be done. So Gina, when you have your navigation block selected, do you see to the right of the button that says save? There is like a settings icon to the right of the button that says save.
Yeah.
Go right one more. So this is your block settings area. And in this location, you see how it shows you under display that there's the 2 lines. Go ahead, select on the left-hand side of that, click on that. And you now have a couple of choices what you would like to do there.
Okay.
So it says to select one of those. This is change the mobile icon.
And save.
Yeah. Yeah, you could hit save on that. And so that's going to show on mobile. That's letting you pick on mobile what your icon is for that toggle. The list on the right panel is the best part. Yeah, the list view on the list on the right panel is the best, especially when you have 10 things in your menu. Yeah, I agree. When you have a lot of things in the menu, turning on all of the options for list view wherever you are is good. So Gina, the version you've just chosen is fine. That version, in the block is to apply that icon all the time because you set for the overlay menu to be always, not just on mobile. So totally an option for you. I like that the submenus has that on-click option now. Just down from where you were a little bit on the bottom right of your screen, it says like submenus. Do we want them to open on click or show an arrow? That's interesting. Interesting choice there. So click edit in the toolbar, convert the links to submenu items. Did that. I'm looking at where my steps are. Change further aspects of the navigation as you see fit. You can change the colors, the spacing, dimensions, various typography options. So the typography options that are there, any of the font typography that's setting in there, I believe that's part of the new typography. I'm forgetting the exact name, but we have a lot of typography changes coming that will change with your aspect ratio. So it would be more fluid typography. That's the word I'm looking for. So it's going to do a lot more fluid typography type of work. So if you would like to change any of those settings there, feel free. If not, we can move right along. Add some items to the menu with the block settings open. Switch between different menu options, including the option to import a classic menu. Select whichever menu you would like to use. So with the block settings open, switch between different menu options, including the option to import. Okay, so we have the block settings open. Can you select your navigation again instead of the word home? On the left-hand side of your screen, it says list view. Navigation. Okay, so in this, it's manage menus. Do you see which menu? It says header nav is there. There it gives us import classic menus. That's where that's tucked in. Okay, so click on your drop-down menu and try import classic menus, import primary. Let's try import primary. So this is going to overwrite it. And I like that little animation that just went by. So this is if you made a menu on a classic theme, any theme that was not FSE, like you were playing around a little bit in 2020 earlier, Gina. So when we brought this in to be the 2022 theme, it had a menu that was made of one of the old styles of making themes, and this new style of making themes had a different menu. So we just told it to swap them. So that's good for people that are upgrading. So that step I think is quite fine. All right. Let's jump into step 24. We're cooking right along here. Explore new headers or footers. Using the list view, select the header or footer. So you've got the list view open on the left side, and that's your header. And it says for header or footer in this location, using list view, select the header or footer, open the 3-dot menu and click replace. So on the left-hand side, yes, that one. Replace header. And this shows us some of the existing template parts. So in there, it's saying, feel free to make a swap, pick one of the other ones that's there. We're experimenting with the replace feature. Try searching for different options, scrolling and selecting a new one. Repeat as much as you would like. Save your changes and note the multi-entry saving, how the multi-entry saving feels. Okay, so Gina, after you pick one, let's hit save and watch what the save does.
Save.
Yeah. Okay, so right there, freeze that. You see how it's asking all the things we want to save?
Okay.
So if you change something in the page, you could uncheck page. If you're like, no, just kidding, don't want to change the page template. If I just wanted to save what I did in the header nav, I could uncheck the other things. Evan is indicating you can import classic menus, but when they do, they stay in the import list. It can be imported multiple times with the same name. Yeah, that is confusing, Evan. Yeah, I agree. That one's kind of a little, that could be dangerous for some folks. Go ahead, hit save. So we see that we could select. I have yet in any of my experimenting to see a time when I wanted to save only some pieces and not others. I'm curious if there's a time where folks have already encountered that they don't want to save a specific thing. So there's that. Repeat this, save the changes. We saw that. We're on to step 28 of 32. Create a category specific. I think that meant a category specific template. So that heading's a little bit confusing. All right, next up, Gina. It says click on the WordPress logo icon in the top left corner. If you upload your own site icon, that toggle navigation display will change. It won't be the WordPress logo. So that takes us back to this screen. And then Gina, can you select where it says templates? So the difference here is if you think about the old days, if you're familiar with creating themes like in underscores or something like that, the old days of making templates, you would have to, if you wanted to create a custom one, like maybe you wanted a new custom post type and call it books or something. That's like, I think the example we all use. And then you wanted to lay out what the books template area would look like. There was the way to do it was with a lot of PHP, and you would have to upload the files and make a child theme and do all these things. And in the new versions with full site editing, we have this templates area. So in the templates area, you see that we've got like single post. Let's take a look at what single, just the plain single looks like as an example for folks first. So if you were to write a blog post, this is what you would get. This is just, featured image at the top. Gina, if you want to turn on list view to show folks what that would look like. Yep, we've got a header, a footer, and in the middle there is a group. And in the group, we've got a group. We've got some nested blocks going on. So I bet you in there, it says post content, spacers, etc. in there. Estella, choosing what I want to save may sound practical, but I'm not sure is a tool for every level of user. It wouldn't make sense to a new user, for instance, unless there are specific instructions and what's reading is not clear. Yeah, so Estella, I wonder if we could sort of connect that saving area to user access levels in WordPress. Like if you're an administrator, you could get all the options. Although we try and keep non-administrators out of the editor as well. So there's that. I get it though. Even as an administrator, maybe I still don't want people that are admins into the theme, and there's some locking we could work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so Gina, that's a normal post. Let's go, let's switch from, go back into templates, and we're going to make one for a category. So let's pretend that I had a lot of blog posts and I made a category. It's one of our taxonomies in WordPress. It means that all my posts that are, in Gina's case, about having attended a WordCamp, and I'm going to write a blog post about every WordCamp I go to. True story, Gina does that, and she does great with those. So Gina wrote a blog post about that time at a WordCamp. Maybe she wants the layout of all of those posts, just those posts, to get a specific look that is different than all the other single posts on her blog. So, yep, you're in the right spot. Top right corner, it says add new and then category. So select the one that says category there. We've got some options. We could pick from a specific category or from all categories. Let's pick the one that is for a specific category. So in the past, again, to do all of this work, we used to have to create a lot of child themes and PHP code to do all of these things. And template is used only for specific items chosen. So these are the types of categories that are available on the site. Let's select exhibits. So all posts on this site that have the category exhibits are laid out like this. This is for the exhibits category. Go up to the top. So this would show all the posts. It is a blog archive, technically, the category archive, more specifically, that is for all the posts that have that thing. So Gina might want to change out, like where it says archive type name. You might want to call that exhibits, or like you might want to manually override that. Some people will do that, or they might add maybe a specific description at the top of that archive. I've seen people do something like that. It kind of depends. So we picked for a specific item, we picked exhibits, even though it says submission opportunities. It's okay. It's going to create a template. For example, perhaps you want to change the emphasis on the images in the query loop block, and or remove different block changes, change the design, etc., and then save it. So let's turn on list view. It's always my go-to. Every time I load the page, if I've got list view open and I switch into a different area, I would like that list view to stay open. Like the fact that I keep asking Gina, can you turn on list view? So query loop, click on the top level where it says query loop, and that will select just all of the things. Query loop, this is a weird word for people that aren't devs. It means go fetch a certain number of posts and bring that back. In this case, go get a group of things. It's get me the title, the date, the featured image, the excerpt of the post. Repeat that like 5 or 6 times. 6 times, I think, is what it's set to right now. If I look on the right-hand side, I might see some of the settings for how many are in the query loop. So Gina, if you wanted to, we could change a couple things that are here. You see that there's a toolbar at the top. You've got some options that are there. So let's not use replace, but you see it says list view. Go ahead, go to the right of that. Let's stay away from the word replace. Let's go back over to the right.
Okay.
That's, I'm sorry.
Right.
On your toolbar.
Mm-hmm.
Right of the word replace.
This.
Yes, select that. That didn't give me a toggle, did it? No. All right, switch to grid view to the right. There is an option. So I could toggle my views in the query loop. Gina, if you were trying to lay this out and you wanted to see like all the posts that were of this type,
I would prefer grid.
Yeah, so you also can do things like specifying in the grid. You see on the right side that there are different amounts of columns. So you could say how many, if you wanted 2 columns or 4 columns when someone's previewing something. So you have some choices there. Use inner blocks. Inner blocks use content width. Nested blocks will fill the width of this container. Toggle to constrain. So it's that changes your layout width a bit. And then inherit query from template. That's turned on by default. That was on before Gina and I got into editing this. Inherit query from template. Yeah. Okay, so I have some choices that are here. I'm not seeing too much that's different compared to before. Intentionally not sharing various ways to do this. Save the changes. Customize your site further. Here are some ideas of other things that we can go customize. All right, so in this call for testing, we've customized a category. Gina, can you hit save? And then I want to bounce back to, so it's saving this one. And then let's hit that WordPress icon in the top left again, and let's go to templates again. I want to test where we're at compared to our last release by making an add new. So can you hit the add new? And let's go to, the category did have content already in it. That might be what's different, because I feel like, now you don't have to select it yet, but I feel like on the last release, a couple of you I know were pretty keyed in. Estella, by chance, do you remember on the 6.0 release if the category loaded up with content already inside of it? I feel like there was a part of creating a new template that the template was totally blank. And I'm trying to see if that is what's kind of resolved there. Oh, we did it with the author on one of the old calls for testing. Gina, can you select the author? I know the one for author was totally blank. Like we didn't get a result in there. For let's go to all authors and let's just see if I get like some default. Yeah, I do. Okay. Yeah. So I'm not ending up with empty content area. Thanks, Estella. So the last time that I visited this area of creating the templates, there was no query block already in there. Everything between the header and the footer, in fact, the header and the footer were empty too. So it's choosing the right things when we go to create those templates. That's an improvement. That is an improvement. I have been bad about taking notes, but I will take good notes and apply them at the tail end of all of this. Thank you, Gina. So we've saved all of the things. Go ahead, save again. And then let's go look at the front of site and see what we did. There's more that you could get into, folks, with this, but I'm looking at the time and I want to get us to a good wrapping up point. Hit the WordPress icon a couple times. Oh, yes, actually do that. View site. That's a new thing too, I think. Let's see what view site. Did view site make a new tab? Because we're not seeing it.
Right up, yeah.
So let's go
share for that one second.
Sure. That's all right too. Thank you, Gina, so very much.
No problem.
And let's see.
Our Gutenberg gallery. Here we are.
Oh, right. Cool. So we're on the front of site and we see some of the things that we did. Let's go to blog. The view site is not new. Oh, only the text is changed. Gotcha. Thank you, Stella. Good call. Gina, go ahead, select blog. And then
it's just bringing me here.
Bringing you there. Oh, I wanted to go look at one of the category pages. Go to your dashboard. We'll close this out real soon. Hit the, yep, and then go down to posts. All posts, and then let's hit view. View on, I think we modified the submission opportunities. So go to 2022 call for submissions. Yep. And click on the under the picture. Go down under the picture. It says submission opportunities. Select that. So this is the category that Gina modified the template for. So any changes, that didn't save the grid view. I was expecting that to happen.
We didn't do it under submissions. We
did it under the other one. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead, hit back then. I'm sorry about that, folks. We did it under the other one. We did it under exhibits.
Yeah. Was it Seattle exhibit? I feel like it was Seattle exhibit. So we're gonna view.
And then hit exhibits.
There we
go. Yep. And now I can see the change has applied. Good. Cool. So we just went through quite a bit of experimenting on the things. You can see why testing this can provide some valuable feedback. I will be giving some detailed notes and providing the YouTube link for testing. Gina, I thank you very much for grinding through this with me, and Evan for coming along. I know we had some technical challenges today, but the ability for us to shape what's happening, to say this makes sense or that doesn't make sense. We saw Gina working through the navigation menu area. I've been working on doing these calls for testing since I think the first one was launched, taking groups of people through, which is a lot of fun. Sometimes I'm a little close to it. And I remember how the bugs worked and what I did to get around them. So I deeply value people that are very technical and people that are very much not technical joining in for some of these calls for testing and providing that kind of feedback. Gina, if you want to stop share, and I will come by and share some more on my end. So the feedback to offer here, let's grab, just so folks know what's going on here. this is where we got to in the directions. I did not get to customize the site further, but things that you could explore testing. The comments block is kind of a new thing. It's changed in WordPress 6, version 6. And so we have some more tweaks to it inside of 6.1 coming. We could explore adding the comments blocks to different templates and see what might make the experience better. Try locking parts of your site. Our coworker George Mamadashvili has done a great job working on the block locking area. That's a mouthful to say. George is a Gutenberg full-time contributor and worked, I know, especially on block locking and the ability to lock up various things. So if you don't want people to easily edit something inside of your single template, you could say that they're not allowed to move where the featured image is, but they can modify the content of it. They can modify the content of the post, but they can't move the order of the things when they're in editing that. So that's block locking. It's a great thing to check out. Use the many new designs to change padding, margin, typography, color, border, and more. I'm excited because I see box shadow is coming. I did a manual override for that, and I had to basically make a child theme just to get, if I didn't feel like mucking about yet in theme JSON. I don't have appearance editor either, and like the customizer, I mean, and so I've had to add just a lot of CSS to do some things that I thought were basic. So box shadow, I'm excited for. Questions at the tail end for everyone to go leave some feedback on. Did the experience crash? We did not have any crashes, which is amazing. Did it save? Yes, it saved. Anything you found confusing or frustrating? So confusing. What do you think, Gina?
I didn't find anything frustrating, but confusing was the sublog, and then
the sub nav menu.
Yeah, the sub nav menu.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty much it. And then the menu linking.
Yeah. Anything we enjoyed or appreciate about the experience? I appreciate that Anne writes these calls for testing, and I appreciate everyone that comes along to join in on testing those things. So yeah, I would tweak a couple more things. I did not go through this with a keyboard only or with a screen reader. Folks that are accessibility minded, it would be amazing for you to try and navigate this entire experience without a mouse and or getting the computer to read to you while you try to work through it. Estella says, to me, confusing were the instructions given in the save action. Is it the wording, Estella, that you're thinking, or something else? Wording. Okay. So Stella would like to see some changes over here when I go to hit save. Are you ready to save? The following changes have been made to your site, templates, and content. This change will affect pages and posts. And then this template part isn't as descriptive as the others, and custom styles, I understand, but depending upon what you're trying to save, some of that wording could be improved. Good point. I still think I would change query loop block to be something more users would understand that aren't devs. Yeah, thinking as a new blogger. Yep, that's true. Estella knows more than a new blogger probably does, but I get your point, and I wholeheartedly agree. We got to make this palatable for beginning users. Not being very familiar. Yep. That's good. Cool. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. We have some other events going on. If you've been to events.godaddy.com, you could see there are GoDaddy Pro chapters for America and for EMEA. My counterpart Maya runs the EMEA sessions, so be sure to look there. Just this week, we had a session with Josefa and Abba and Devinder talking about contributing to WordPress. That one was great. I'm sure that Maya will have a replay of that one available soon, but if you check out the GoDaddy Pro handle, we've got a Twitter video replay of that already live. We live streamed that one. Coming up next, we've got for the Americas area on October 12th, we've got Site Check Malware Trends Report, and I will grab the link for that one if anyone is interested in attending that. That's with our teammates over in Sakuri. So talking through a lot of security things. Feel free to check into that one if that is up your alley.
I'm assuming there are some technical issues going on with Courtney. Thank you guys so much for attending and helping us with testing our Gutenberg gallery. We'll see you next week. Oh, I think she's coming back.
Thank you for closing it out, Gina. Thank you so very much. Yeah, do check out the other events that are going on. And Gina, thank you for closing us out today.
Not a problem.
Goodbye. I'll hit stop record.